What's happening, people? Johnny Styles here with the Wellness Observer Live. And today we got a very special guest. This is guest number 2 in the show. And this is not an ordinary guest because this guest is right now your new IFBB Wellness Pro and Miss NPC Junior USA's. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We had a doctor, now we have a nurse. Alexis Adams, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
This is something that I had predicted, and I said that if you won this show, no matter what, you were gonna be invited because we've come a long way, you and I, and it's only deserving for me to bring you on and talk a little bit about your experience. But it's common like knowledge now that you're a pro. It sounds good. It's on your bio. Let it out. How does it feel?
It still feels a little surreal. I mean, it's only been 2 days and it's crazy. I mean, the amount of messages that I've been getting, the support that I've had the whole time, it's just even more so prevalent now. So just trying to wrap my head around that picture is a little insane still.
How was it? How was it emotionally? Did you think, when, because you won your class and then you knew you were going for the overall? How was it internally and emotionally? Did you feel anything different this time around?
This time around, I was much more anxious. Honestly, going into the weekend, I couldn't see a different outcome for myself. All I was focused on was winning. All I was focused on was winning the overall. So that's actually what made me anxious. I was afraid to not be prepared to lose. Last year I did this show, I placed second, and going into the show, I was so happy that it was the best package that I'd brought that year. And I really went in with no expectations. And I honestly think that's what made the difference this year. Everyone says not to have expectations, and that's great to an extent. But my expectation for myself was to win the overall. But that's also what made me the most nervous this weekend.
Right. So that's, I wanted to get the emotions of winning out of the way, but that was going to be my segue into last year. Tell me, how did it feel? I know, I since I know you personally, I know that probably you're not that type of girl that want to tell the world that you're angry, you're sad, you want to take over. But I know it hurt. I know it hurt because you were this close, and Ashton won, which we all know she became pro, and then you were this close and you didn't make it. How was it, that experience last year? What was your mindset back then?
Initially, I was really upset. I was disappointed in myself, and to be that close and to see this scorecard and to see that it was like a one judge difference in who became first and who became second, was really hard to take. It was like, what could I have done differently? What small tweaks could I have made? And right after the show, it was frustrating. And that's why I pushed into doing Universe 2 weeks later, where I brought a worse package. So that didn't work. And ultimately, I had to take that frustration and turn it into something that I could actually use.
Why are you saying that it was worse at the Universe?
Um, I mean, it wasn't as good. I was watery. I was sick. I didn't peak well. It just was not the best option for me. I knew that I don't typically rebound super well 2 weeks after a show, trying to go into another one. Historically, I haven't done well with that. But I wanted to make it work anyway. My coach let me. It wasn't my best package. It wasn't better than the one that I had brought to Junior Nationals. And that's why we ultimately wrapped it up for the season. And I'm glad we did, because I made changes that ultimately served me well this weekend.
How long did it last for you? This, like, you were sad, you were upset. How long did it last? A week, 2 weeks?
Oh no, it burned the whole
It
time.
burned.
Yeah.
Okay. How was
I
it?
mean, um, I still, right now, I still have to take the pictures down. I have a picture in both of my bathrooms of me not placing first, as a sole visual reminder of this is not what I want to do the next time I get on stage. So every 3 a.m. morning that I was waking up before work to do cardio, it was a reminder. And that's what I clung on to. I knew what it felt like to lose, and I didn't want that feeling again.
Right. And then coming into the emotions of not feeling good at all. What what turned on in your brain and in your mindset that you're going to take the necessary time to basically destroy this version of last year? What clicked in you?
So that was hard. Notoriously in my competitive history, I have a habit of taking like 8 or 10 weeks off and then jumping back into a prep. Obviously, that doesn't give me much time to grow. So that didn't serve me well. But I need deadlines. So I kind of broke it down into, if I'm taking 7 months to grow, then I have 28 weeks, I think, is what I had in order to grow before we started prepping. And we all know once you start prep, you don't grow a ton once you're in a deficit. So I kind of looked at it as like a prep before the prep. I had this many weeks to get as big as I could in my lower body, make the changes that I needed to, and then we could cut down and try to get on stage again.
Do you think now, looking back at it, it was more of the food, or it was more a combination of the food with training, because you train really hard?
Um,
Did you
I
have to
think
eat a lot, basically?
honestly, no. Genetically, I don't get a ton of food. I'm not someone who's eating 3,000 plus calories in the off season. I have lower days on my days that I'm not training. I have free meals once a week, but those are cut pretty early in my prep. Um, it's more so, it was really, I think, the time that I needed and the intense training over that time, just consistency for a long enough time to build and hold the muscle. Even in my past really short off seasons, I would grow. I've changed every time I've gotten on stage. So it was really just digging my head into the sand and keeping myself from prepping long enough to make the big enough changes so that I could have a chance at the overall and not just get by the skin of my teeth.
I remember you saying something like, you wanted to win. You didn't want to leave it to chance. You wanted to win, and that's a great mindset for people that are girls that are listening to this podcast right now. Is it hard? It At the moment that you were prepping for this show, was there anything that you think hindered your prep? Like, meaning, is there anything that you were eating that was not you were not focused? The job, the training, anything at all?
Not not in the prep. There were definitely hard periods. I mean, the majority of this prep, I was travel nursing, so constantly being on the road back and forth between I was in North Carolina, then I went to Maryland for a couple of weeks. Um, that schedule was crazy. But even through that, the ultimate goal was to set up my schedule so that this competition season could be as successful as possible. So I stopped traveling mid April, I think. Um, I had the last 8 weeks of this prep at home, back at my home hospital, where I could not be on the road constantly. And that's what really made the difference and really let me grind all the way into the show at the end.
Okay, so tell the people, you are a nurse. You're a traveling nurse. What does that even mean?
So, traveling nursing, basically, I would go to different hospitals for about 13 weeks, 3 months at a time. I'd get like 2 days of orientation, then jump on the floor and start working. I started traveling during COVID when nursing was hard to come by. A lot of people left the field. It was just a big upset for everyone. And honestly, my husband wasn't making a whole lot of money then. So travel nursing scooped that up. But with that came a much more difficult time schedule to bodybuild. We all know that this lifestyle consumes. And so to try to do that on the road is crazy. But at the same time, it's possible. Anything's possible. So I also am not one to listen to anyone's excuses because if I can survive on 3 hours of sleep the majority of the days of the week and I can grow the amount that I did, I really think anyone with enough time, no matter their genetic makeup, can make something happen if they wanted to.
That's really cool, really cool. So speaking of you and your work days and hospital life, which I know it's very weird hours, give me a simple day in the life of Alexis waking up in the morning. You have to go to work or gym. Give me like a simple day in the life. How is your day in the life as a traveling nurse and aspiring IFBB pro?
So here at the end, I had 45 minutes of cardio in the morning and then 45 at night. So I would wake up at 3:30 was my typical alarm in the morning. I don't like to be rushed in the morning, especially because the rest of my day is completely scheduled. Everything's full. I don't have downtime. So my morning is my me time. I like to wake up. I like to drink my coffee, kind of chill on the couch. My dog gets up and hangs out with me. And then I get to my cardio. So 3:30, I wake up. 4:30, I start my cardio. Have my breakfast at work. The night before, I would pack all my meals for the days that I had of work that week. Pack my bag, and then I have to be at work by about 6:35 because I have to change and then be ready for report by 6:45. And then I'm at work until 7:15, 7:30, whenever I finish charting and get home. And then I would have my cardio that night. Ideally, I wouldn't train after work. But if I had more than 2 shifts in a row, then I would have to train on one of those days. So I try to get in bed by 9:30 or 10. If I trained, it would be more like 11.
There's absolutely no excuses for people watching this. So safe to say that you're kind of a morning person?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely value my time in the morning. If I miss my alarm or I wake up and I'm rushed, it frazzles my whole day.
So do you, this is a question I have to ask for myself too. Do you prep your gym bag with everything the night before? Is that like a trick that you do?
For work days, yes.
Right.
So I'll make like my intra drink, my pre-workout, everything's made, my clothes are in my bag. I obviously, if you see my Instagram, I can't wear what I wear to the gym to work. So I
Of
put that
course.
in my gym bag. I wear like street clothes into work because we work in the OR too. So I have to change at work. Usually take that gym bag with me. And then if I have to go to the gym after work, I go straight from work to the gym and then home.
Oh my God.
So
Yep.
I'll have like 3 bags, all my meals in it. I'll have my pre-workout meal, everything. And then I have to, depending on if it's a work training day or a non-training day, it depends on how I eat my food through the day.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
27. Okay. Growing up, I always have to ask this question. Growing up, did you play any sports?
In high school, I did cheerleading, track, and soccer.
Which one did you like most?
Probably competitive cheerleading. I hated track really
Oh
because I
wow.
had to run. Just running around the track wasn't my favorite. But I liked to stay active. So that was the only thing in the spring that I could do other than soccer.
So
And then
now, yeah, go ahead.
soccer I liked too.
Okay, so it's safe to say that you've always had, a pretty much good lower body.
I've always had large legs. After high school, I was into pageantry. That's where I started before I switched to bodybuilding. And even then, I was trying to run my legs down.
So yeah, doing bikini wasn't an option for you.
I tried.
Yeah, you
And
tried.
I think Trey Bennett, my first show, said I competed my first show in 2019, and he said, "Bring down your lower body or try wellness next year." And then I tried a couple more shows, and then eventually switched to wellness.
So before 2019, you haven't heard of the NPC or the Pro League?
I had
Okay.
so my husband actually had been competing since 2017. I'd been to his shows. I just wasn't completely into that lifestyle yet. I saw what prepping and everything entailed for him, and it just wasn't something that I was interested in until I went to several shows with him. Saw what bikini and figure at the time looked like on stage, and that's why I started with bikini. When I first started competing, I didn't know about wellness. And then honestly, when wellness was first announced, I wasn't interested.
Wow.
I didn't know what the wellness physique was actually going to look like on stage in the States. And because I'd been trying to run my lower body down for so long, I was afraid of trying to become wellness. And then once I saw what it was and realized that I could train the way that I wanted to train, and I could grow my legs rather than trying to keep them down, that's what ultimately sparked my interest in switching.
Okay, so starting with that, and you hearing about the class, which were some of the girls that you kind of looked at and you said, you know what, she looks pretty darn good? Which girls you kind of like saw on Instagram or on the shows that you were like, wow, that's a cool body I would like to kind of look like?
I really liked Francielli
Okay.
um, and Isa. Um, they were probably my two favorites. I didn't know about Urishna until I was competing in wellness. And then, she was getting ready. She did that show in Florida, and then she did Universe when I competed at Universe in 2020. Um, so probably those three
Okay.
were the top ones that I followed.
Interesting. Interesting. And now, now you're in the ranks of the IFBB Pro League. Is there any girls that you look up to now that you would like to stand next to?
I am really looking forward to standing next to Sunny. Um,
Good.
we're both short. She's
Mhm.
shorter than me.
There you go.
I like her structure. Um, I think that we have similar structure.
Mhm.
So I think it would be really cool to see how that matches up, and to see where I need to make improvements from there.
Very cool. Yep, and I think Sunny would be happy to stand next to you. She always welcomes, and she was right there, so you could have seen her
Yeah.
and talked a little bit about everything. Um, so now moving on to the show and moving on to the package that you brought in. I'm always very straightforward with you. I've always been with you through this prep, and I'll be the first one on camera to admit that the change that you have done in a year, if you want to say that, it's truly mind blowing. You definitely destroyed the version that we saw from you last year, and yes, I know it hurt, but you redeemed yourself. If you had to pick apart your body on stage, were you truly happy with your body the way it showed up this weekend?
I definitely need more conditioning in my glutes and hams. Um, I knew that going into the show. Peaking was definitely strategized going into the show. Um, that's somewhere, I mean, for a lot of girls, it's the same issue, but my glutes and hams are my toughest area to get fat off of. I think my front and my quads and everything was spot on. So if I can get more conditioning in my glutes and hams, I think my package I would have been more happy with it. I definitely was very anxious between prejudging and finals, not knowing it was split center. You don't know which way the judges are going to go. And I could see at that time it going either way. So definitely that's probably the area I would say.
Yeah, that's why in the show, like when I posted that picture from the back, Amanda looked harder than you from the back. But, what I think happened is that your overall presentation won that over, not only in the judges' eyes, but everybody else. and your professionalism and your posing. I also said that the way you're posing on stage, this is not by coincidence. This is something that you practice almost, I want to say, on a daily basis with your dogs. You know, how much posing are you doing for leading up to the show?
Um, I'd say at least 10 or 15 minutes a day. Posing sessions as I needed them to critique my quarter turns. But posing is something that I enjoy to do. I teach posing sessions for bikini and wellness. It's something that I think is creative. Um, you can express your personality through it. So it's not something that intimidates me. And I think that my pageantry background really helps in that. I'm not nervous on stage at all. I'm anxious until we get there. And then once I'm stepping up the steps, I'm just really excited.
Yeah, I saw that, especially, I will tell you right now, the night one, the night routine with the whole sassiness, totally, totally won. Yeah, that was like the nail in the coffin. So you already know that the next time you step on stage, you really have to let it out.
Absolutely.
What
Yes.
happened there? What happened that you changed at night? What happened?
So I didn't want to be too over the top for prejudging. Um, I wanted to be clean, concise, not too risky, just
You wanted to play
show
safe.
my yes.
Okay.
At night, okay, so prejudging, they moved people a couple times, put us through quarter turns once, and sent us off. So to me, that was a sign that whoever they chose from split center, they clearly knew who they wanted to win. So I didn't think that there was a risk of rejudging or anything like that. And I felt either way, it was probably set as far as the class winner. So I was just going to crank up the sass.
You definitely look really comfortable up there. And you know, I for one would say that this is something that you have to implement to your posing clients as well, because not only in the NPC, but even like in the Puerto Rico show which just happened, many girls looked a little bit nervous. Okay, so if you had a client, what would be your tip in order to leave that nervousness out of the way?
So I really encourage everyone to practice one with music. Like try to get into the mindset that you are on stage every time that you're practicing. And also practice in front of people that you care about. So like your boyfriend, your husband, your best friends. If you can practice full out in front of them and not be nervous, it's a whole lot easier to perform in front of strangers who don't know your routine or what it's supposed to look like than to practice in front of someone that you care about and cares about you and you don't want to mess up in front of.
Okay, so now we're seeing the routine here and the prejudging, and yeah, you played it safe, but you still look really, really good. And that super special pose, which I'm coining your pose, how did that come about?
So I saw Isabella do that pose. She did it, I think, at the very first show she won when wellness first came to the United States.
Yep.
And since I switched to wellness, that's just a pose that I've really wanted to be able to hit. So I've been working on that thing since last year. I know that we're not supposed to do it in quarter turns. I don't do it in quarter turns, but I do like to put it in my routine because I think it looks cool.
No, it doesn't look good. It looks amazing. It looks amazing. If you didn't do that pose, I would have been up there. I would have like share shot or something, because you know that shot looks insane of you. Of course, we can't technically do it on the quarter turns, but it doesn't matter. That pose looks ridiculously on you, and you don't have an idea how many girls I'll have to turn down because they want to do it. But this pose specifically, it's not for everybody.
Right. I agree. And I have girls who are like, I want to do that pose that you do. But ultimately, I pose my girls the way that looks the best on your body. Just because you like something doesn't mean that you should hit it.
Right, right. And that's very important. I tell people you got to be honest with yourself. And for the girls that are watching, Alexis is great at teaching posing, and she's really honest as well. She won't sugarcoat things. So now that you're an IFBB Pro, for those of you watching the show, she has a jacket and everything. Holy moly! What are the future plans? Have you put any thought into that?
Yes. So we're staying in prep. Um, which specific show, I'm not sure quite yet. We're gonna bring my lower body in more. Probably need to drop a couple more pounds. And then we will decide for sure. At least I need at least 5 weeks or so before getting on stage. So nothing super soon. But we'll do a pro debut this year.
Wow! Look at you, heard it here first. Well, Tampa is pretty good to do, and I liked your body from the front 100%. If you can bring that to the backside, it will be a shock for a lot of people. And God forbid if you win, you'll go into the Olympia. And I don't even want to get ahead of ourselves, because if you do that, we'll go another interview part two.
Yeah.
All right. So we know that you're a Liquid Sunray sponsored athlete. How is the Liquid Sunrays color on you? How much do you like it?
I love it. I used Liquid Sunrays the first time, my first national show, Junior USA in 2020. And since then, that's all I've used. It is consistent. I know exactly how it's going to look every single time. I do my skin prep, super easy. And the girls spray me and it looks amazing. I like that it's dark immediately. There's no playing games with having to get 3 or 4 or 5 coats. And it doesn't rub off like other companies do. Like once it's on, as long as you don't get it wet, you're golden.
That's that's really cool, because a lot of people don't know that, and it dries up really really well, and it stays in your skin. And everybody has been complimenting you on the color, but people also need to understand that this is not just Alexis going in there and just tanning. You also do your skin prep.
Yes. So I start my skin prep Sunday of peak week. So it's really just mainly exfoliating every day. And I use Liquid Sunrace's whole skin prep kit, but it's basically a neutralizing body wash and exfoliating every day. It's easy. You're showering every day anyway, hopefully, because you're doing cardio every day.
Mhm.
And then I shave everything Thursday night or Friday morning, and that's it.
No, you heard it. She gave you her formula. So
Yeah.
listen to that straight on from Alexis. What type of cardio did you do for this prep?
So I did bike the majority of the time.
Like a
And then
spin bike?
yes.
Okay.
And then that's actually was the most convenient for me because of my crazy schedule. If I wanted to get up and go to the gym, I had to wake up even earlier. But the bike, I had drive an SUV, so I put the bike in my car and just took it everywhere that
I
I went.
think I saw a post that you brought it with you. Hey man, like your story is something that we needed to get out there. This is not, again, I never want to make this show about like how many sets and reps. It's more about the story and a crazy 27-year-old just traveling with her bike.
Yeah. Yes. You should have seen my first travel assignment. I rented a room in someone's house in Virginia Beach,
Wow.
and I
Jesus.
got there and the guy helped me unload everything, and I was like, and I also have this bike. Where can I put it? And he was like, excuse me.
It's a stationary bike too.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it takes up my entire trunk. It's like I need to put this somewhere. I have to use it.
Wow. So you're going back to work this week, I assume. What are the hours gonna be? Do you know?
Yep, I work 7 to 7, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's what all my shifts are. So I work Wednesday, Thursday. Typically, I work 3 days a week. If I'm competing that week, I work two. Um, this week I work Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, I think. So I have a
Nice,
couple days before I
nice.
go back.
So see, she's a pro, but she still has to go to work. She's
Yes.
not. She's not. When she's Miss Olympia, then we'll talk again. Before we leave, of course, my buddy Will just took this picture of you, and we can tell that the emotion was real. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out? The floor is yours. Let them know.
Oh my gosh. It's such a long list. Obviously my husband, he puts up with all the moods this whole time. My coach Nelson, I've been with him since I started this bodybuilding journey in 2019. And he's gotten me here. He told me I could win, I could be the overall winner, and that's exactly what we did. Liquid Sun RAYZ, the Shoe Fairy, KH Custom sponsored my suit. Shode Beauty does my hair. That's why it's so silky. Everyone messages me about it. Gasp and Better Bodies I am with now. They just brought me on during peak week last week, so that was very exciting. I know I'm missing people. I have a really good crew of friends around here. The whole front row of the VIP seating was my people, which is amazing. People, just my friends and my crew, drove 6-9 hours to come and watch me. And I really think, I mean, that's what I attribute a lot of this stuff to. If you're in bodybuilding, you know that this process is insane. You know that the prepping, the hormonal imbalances, the mood swings, you get sassy, things fall through the cracks, and you can't make it to the finish line completely unless you have a good crew. And fortunately, I have that.
You can't forget your fur babies, because they were with you the entire time, even with the check-ins.
Oliver and Lila never miss a check-in. Fifi is old and is lazy, but they're always in the videos.
Amazing. So the hormonal imbalances with your relationship, was that up and down, or did you think you got it down to a science?
We have it down to a science now.
It's not easy.
No, it's definitely more helpful, I think, that we both compete, so we understand what the other person is doing at that time. Last year we actually did this show together. I'm glad we had that experience. We won't do it again because we were both sassy the whole time. But yes, Kenley's very good with, like, when I'm in a mood, he leaves me be. We come back when I'm feeling a little better. We balance it out very well.
Does he have any plans to compete anytime soon?
Not this year.
So this year it's all about you.
Yes, this year's all about me. He's focusing on some work things too. He's a realtor now, so he's been putting a lot of time into that. But he'll probably get on stage again next year.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Alexis, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule as a traveling nurse and now a new IFBB Pro. I can't wait to see you on stage. I think you're going to bring something that is much needed here in the United States of America, but it doesn't stop there, because I would love to see you travel and I would love to see you do shows all over the world. And for the fans that are watching, I like that Alexis is very, I want to say the word marketable. You know, she puts herself out there in a way that companies can reach out to her and make her a sponsored athlete, just because the way she exposes herself on her social media. So I congratulate you, and I'm happy that you achieved your goal.
Thank you so much.
All right, that has been Miss Alexis Adams, new IFBB Pro. You can catch her on Instagram. You can catch her on an IFBB Pro stage. A very cool story, because it's perseverance of her everything, because she was really upset and I could see it from miles away. And I can see that, the body she achieved totally destroyed the version she had. She even had sticky notes that now I see girls implementing that. So very, very happy to see her. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. This has been Johnny Styles, the godfather of wellness, with IFBB Pro, Alexis Adams. I'll see you guys very, very soon.